We're here at Veterans Park in Miamisburg, Ohio. They're getting set up for the Memorial Day program. We're getting ready to walk down to the Linden Bridge, check out the pre-parade, but here we are. Like I said, they're setting up. After the parade, we'll have a program and then some hot dogs and popcorn, ice cream. There's a lot of the banners up at the park. In fact, there's so many banners. They put them on the side of the historical building. We'll check them out later.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is John Heinrich. I'm the commander at the Miamisburg, American Legion Post 165. We welcome you here today to honor those who have died, who were a part of the Navy, the Coast Guard, and the Merchant Marines. We pause for a moment to remember the lives that were lost on the waters of the world. Our chaplain will now offer a prayer for the Navy, Coast Guard, and the Merchant Marines that perished on the waterways of the world.
Good morning. Almighty God, we are gathered here to honor our fallen dead, all who paid with their lives for one of the many devilish ways that man has contrived to maim or kill his fellow man, through bomb, through bullet, shell, through mine, fire, water, starvation, torture, and disease. Some of them rest in cemeteries, others on the ocean floor. Others are still but the scattered ashes of plumenting human torches. We beseech you to care for all those who have closed their eyes in these ways, on the shadows and foggy twilight that makes up this world, and in your mercy to enable them to open them on the full glory and warmth of you. We place this wreath of flowers in the water for the recognition and honor of our fallen heroes, men and women of the Navy, the Coast Guard, and of the Merchant Marines. May they and their souls rest in peace for all time, everlasting. Amen. Please place the flowers in the water.
The flowers may wither, but the spirit of which they are a symbol will endure until the end of time. Hand over your heart, and all our veterans may render a hand salute. Honor guard, attention, port arms, half left face, ready, aim, fire, ready, aim, fire, ready, aim, fire. Half right face, present arms. Honor arms. Parade rest. concludes our service. We thank you for being here. We hope you'll enjoy the rest of the Memorial Day. We hope you will be here for the parade.
Hello, Mayor.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for being here. We are very blessed to have such beautiful weather after what the storms have given us the last couple of days. At this time, I would ask all of you to please rise for the colors. Commander, present the colors.
Color guard, attention. Forward, march. Present the national colors. Present all the colors. Remain right when we play the national anthem. Dinner face. Forward, march.
Thank you. Please be seated. Good morning. My name is John Heinrich. I'm the commander of Miamisburg, American Legion Post 165. We have gathered here today to honor all the brave men and women who have offered their service to our country. Many people offer their service as volunteers, but like police and firefighters, military members offer a unique gift of service. When you enter the military, you enter a special covenant with the American people. You are asked to raise your right hand and swear to support and defend the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. This means offering your life if called upon to defend this country. In return, the American people are expected to honor and remember the sacrifices of all the people who have given us our freedom. Memorial Day is the official time to do this. That is why we are here today. I want to thank John for Sarkas, who is our post chaplain for the invocation, and Alberta Duncan, our singer, who is with the honor guard. At this time, I'd like to take just a few minutes to recognize, and if you will please stand, all the members of the Miamisburg Historical Society Veterans Committee. These members put in countless hours each year for the Veterans Historical Society. President of the Miamisburg Historical Society is Ken Ballinger. Chairman Councilman Ryan Coven. Tom Brooks, Post 165. Mayor Michelle Collins. Mark Coven, Post 165. Assistant Manager Anthony Covington. Parks and Recreation Rachel Goforth. Peggy Gross, Post 165. Past Post Commander of our Post 165, Mr. Wayne Kern. Paul and Nan Zanowick, members at large. Tom Pompous, Post 165. And Laura Benner, our liaison member. Ladies and gentlemen, please give all of these members a hearty round of applause. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to ask, I would like to ask Ken Ballinger to please step up to the podium for the Historical Society.
Well, good morning again, friends of Miamisburg history. I am Ken Ballinger, president of the Miamisburg Historical Society. Unlike last year, I had well over an hour to prepare for this, so I actually do have some notes, so I won't be improvising as much as last year. First thing, does anybody know when Miamisburg had its first Memorial Day celebration? It was May 31st, 1868. This has been our proud tradition since just after the Civil War, so thank you to the community for doing that. We are here in Veterans Memorial Park, standing in front of the Carnegie Library from the time when this was cleverly titled the Library Park, and before that it was City Park, so we're very clever in naming our parks. But I mentioned the Carnegie Building because as of this year, the Miamisburg Historical Society is, we've added this to our lease, so we have doubled our real estate here at the park, which has doubled our lease agreement with the city, so now we have to pay $2 instead of just the first dollar that we're paying. But we'll have a fundraiser for that, so don't worry. We are going to be remodeling this building over the next couple of years to create a Veterans Memorial, as well as remembering first responders and our fire and police. So thank you very much. Retired Air Force Colonel Ted Fink has graciously agreed to chair that group. So if you get a call from him or a member of our Ways and Means Committee about volunteering or making a donation, please answer that call, because we are going to need help from the community to make this the memorial that it should be, not only for the fallen, but for all who have served our country and our community. Okay, I do want to mention, you see that we have our beautiful Veterans Memorial banners here. Now, I know some people have mentioned that not all the banners are out here in the park. Some of them are inside the History Center. But as you can see, because of our wonderful relationship with the city of Miamisburg, we have an additional 20 banners that are hanging here on the wall of the History Center. So thanks to the city for taking care of that for us. The problem is, my friends, we started this program last year and we had no idea the level of support we would have. There are plenty of light poles here in town, or in this park, and so we said we'll hang the banners on those. Little did we know that we would sell 125 banners up to this point. We have too many banners for the space. So that is because of all of you supporting your veterans. So give yourselves a round of applause for that. Now, we are continuing to sell banners. We are continuing to recognize all veterans. I do need to mention the person who has been the chair of that committee is our own board member, Laurel Benner. Stand up, Laurel. I told her I was going to have her come speak, and she said absolutely not and punched me, so she's not going to come up here and speak, but she does need to be recognized for the incredible work that she's done. And I think she's talked to every one of the 125 families who have bought banners and has really been instrumental in getting this program started. Now, sure, there are other communities that have the banners along the street, but here you can stop, you can walk through this beautiful park, and you can actually read what's on each banner, whether it's a family member or not. So we are unique in that aspect. We will be needing more volunteers because we want to make sure that our Veterans Memorial and our History Center are open and welcoming to people who want to come to town and see about our veterans. So when you get that call from our, how many members of the Historical Society are here right now? Okay, fantastic. For all the rest of you, get to talk to one of these people who just raised their hand. Because we are starting our membership drive. I think it's a 2-for-1 this year from June until December. Perfect time to join because we will need volunteers. And I'm talking to our friends from Post 165 as well. We're going to need some people here to help celebrate veterans and first responders. In addition, we are still continuing our Gary McKitty postcard campaign. We are going to be getting some more postcards because we distributed all of them that we had. If you don't know, Gary McKitty was killed in Cambodia in May of 1970, and he should have received the Medal of Honor by now. It's been 54 years, unfortunately, so far. But I think in the last year, we have moved the needle toward getting him the Medal of Honor that he so richly deserves. If you don't know the story, yes. I'm not going to share the complete story today, but look at our Historical Miamisburg website and you'll see some videos there that'll tell you all about Gary McKitty's incredibly brave sacrifice. 20 years old, my friends, in a helicopter in Cambodia. All right, well, I want to thank, of course, our fantastic relationship with the city of Miamisburg, with the Parks and Rec Department, with the American Legion Post 165, Commander Heinrich. Oh, there you are. Thank you very much. Mayor Collins, of course. All of our friends in the community, all of our volunteers. Remember that we're recognizing those who gave all today, but I think we can all give some. Am I right? Thank you very much. We're going to be calling you, so we're going to hold you to that. But thank you very much, Miamisburg.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I would like to say a few words about our Grand Marshal. Wayne Kern and his twin brother Phil were born in Dayton, Ohio on January the 25th, 1947. They resided in Jefferson Township. Wayne was an active Boy Scout, reaching the rank of Eagle in 1963. Wayne is a graduate of Manchester University in Indiana, where he met his future wife, Alicia. They were married in Honolulu, Hawaii in 1969. Wayne joined the Army in April of 1970, serving in the Operation and Intelligence Section, stationed on the East Coast, until his discharge as a specialist fifth class in December of 1971. Wayne and Alicia had two children, Brian and Sarah, raising them in Miamisburg, Ohio. Part of Wayne's career included his owning Ken's Auto for 35 years. Wayne is an active community member in Miamisburg, serving as treasurer of the Baum House, a member of the Spring Fest Committee, and a trustee at St. James United Methodist Church. He has also had a pivotal role in the Blessing in a Flag program. Wayne has over 33 continuous years of active American Legion membership, 12 of which he served as commander of Miamisburg Post 165 from 2010 to 2022. He is an active member of the Combined Honor Guard, as well as a lifetime member of the Army's 1814 Military Honor Guard. Wayne has served on the Veterans Committee since its conception, and Randy Staley and Wayne were influential in getting the Miamisburg Council to rename this park Veterans Park. Wayne has enjoyed time spent with his children and his 4 grandchildren. Unfortunately, Wayne, even though he has joined us on the stage today, he has and has been our Grand Marshal. He has been through some difficult health problems during the last 8 months. So we got him up on the stage, and I would just like for you to recognize our Grand Marshal today with a large round of applause, Mr. Wayne Kirk. At this time, once again, it is my pleasure to now introduce a person who is proud to call Miamisburg her hometown. She is a 1984 Miamisburg High School graduate and attended Heidelberg College, Cape Cod Community College, Wright State University, and Honduras College. Her first profession has been as a real estate broker for over 35 years. In 2016, she was elected to the City Council of Miamisburg. Then in 2019, she ran unopposed for the high office of mayor. In January 2020, she was sworn in as the first female mayor of the city of Miamisburg. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome the first female mayor of Miamisburg, Miss Michelle Collins.
Good afternoon, everyone. He always embarrasses me with that and reminds me of things I didn't remember I did. So thank you, Commander. It's my pleasure to be here, and thanks to each one of you for coming out and giving up a little bit of your Memorial Day to share a remembrance of what we should all be thankful for. Before I begin, I'm going to recognize our members of City Council that are here. Our Vice Mayor is here, Steve Bickler. Steve, will you stand up, please? Councilman John Stolder is here. Councilman Tom Nicholas is here. Councilman Ryan Colvin is here, who is also the chairperson of the American Legion Veterans Club and a big reason why we're here today. Councilwoman Sarah Thacker, I know you're here. There she is. And State Rep Rodney Creech is here. Thanks for being in Miamisburg this morning. I hope I didn't forget anyone. All right. So I'm going to read to you the recommended reading for the 2024 Memorial Day speech as recommended by the National American Legion Post, and it is my honor to deliver it to you today. They were brothers in arms, but also brothers bonded by sacrifice. Navy SEALs Nathan Gage Ingram and Christopher J. Chambers attempted to board an unflagged ship in the Arabian Sea that was carrying Iranian-made weapons to Yemen on July 11th. As they were leaving their boat to climb the contraband ship, waves reportedly widened the gap between the two vessels. Chambers plunged into the water. Ingram jumped in to save him. Neither were ever seen again. The dangers inherent with military service are especially so with Navy special warfare operators, but they exist in every branch and in every military occupation. Today we honor more than the 1 million men and women who have made the ultimate sacrifice for our nation while serving in wars and missions since the American Revolution. Each story is unique, and each story represents heartbreak to the family and friends left to mourn. There was Private Furman L. Smith, who served with the Army's 135th Infantry Regiment, 34th Infantry Division. 80 years ago, his unit came under intense fire from German forces near Lonavio, Italy. Severely outnumbered by his enemy, Private Smith tended to the seriously wounded comrades, even as others withdrew. Smith emptied his clip after clip of his M1 rifle and killed at least 10 enemy soldiers before he was fatally shot. This 19-year-old from 6 Mile, South Carolina, was awarded the Medal of Honor. There was also Lieutenant Colonel Annie Ruth Graham, who served in the Army Nurse Corps during World War II, the Korean War, and finally Vietnam. It was while she was assigned to the 91st Evacuation Hospital in Tualawa that Graham succumbed to a stroke in 1968. She is one of 8 women whose names are on the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C. Colonel William Rich Higgins was a Marine who served as Chief Observer on a United Nations peacekeeping mission. On February 17, 1988, the Vietnam veteran was driving on a coastal road in southern Lebanon, where his car was suddenly blocked by another vehicle, and he was taken hostage by Hezbollah terrorists. He endured months of torture before his captors released a video of his hanging. He was declared dead by the U.S. government on July the 6th, 1990. He was survived by his wife Ruth and his daughter Christine. As proud Americans, we should all remember that our freedom is not free. It is only possible because heroes, from our own families and neighborhoods, have paid this high price. It's that price which enables us to have ceremonies and observances like this in towns across our great country. The first Memorial Day was not called Memorial Day. It is believed to have been celebrated with a parade of freed slaves and Union soldiers marching through Charleston, South Carolina in 1865. Waterloo, New York is considered the official birthplace of Memorial Day because after the town held observances on May the 5th, 1866, General John Murray and General John A. Logan called on all communities to honor the War of the Dead every year. Logan had been impressed with how the South had honored Confederate soldiers for years, and in 1868, Logan, who was head of the prominent veterans group, Grand Army of the Republic, issued a proclamation that Declaration Day be observed nationwide. This date was chosen May the 30th, specifically because it was not on the anniversary of a battle. It was a day to honor fallen veterans of all American wars. Even so, many communities do not want to observe Decoration Day because of the lingering resentments from the Civil War. The alternative name, Memorial Day, wasn't commonly used until World War II, a two-front fight against tyranny in which more than 400,000 American service members would die. Among those heroes were men singled out by President Ronald Reagan as he stood at an outdoor lectern in Normandy, France on June the 6th, 1984. I quote, "Behind me is a memorial that symbolizes the Ranger daggers that were thrust into the top of these cliffs," President Reagan said, "and before me are the men who put them there. These are the boys of the Pointe du Roc. These are the champions who helped free a continent. These are the heroes who helped end a war," unquote. Many of the men rest in graves at Normandy American Cemetery. Others found peace at Arlington or in their hometown burial places. And many more survived the war and raised their families under peace and freedom that they and their brothers and sisters at arms fought so hard to achieve. In the American Legion preamble, we pledge to preserve the memories and incidents of our associations in our wars. They do not pat themselves on the back or impress people with stories of their own military service. We all know what they did. We have also been witness to such. Veterans have seen heroism at its purest form. Veterans serve alongside the very men and women that we remember today. One such witness was Lou Conter. On April 1st, 2024, Lou passed away at age 102. He was the last survivor of the USS Arizona. During Pearl Harbor observances in 2020, Lou said to the American Legion, quote, "We're not heroes. The 1,177 who went down with the ship are the heroes." Wouldn't be mine if I went on the train, right? On Memorial Day. So again, we're talking about Lou Conter. On April 1st, 2024, Lou passed away at age 102. He was the last survivor of the USS Arizona. During Pearl Harbor observances in 2020, Lou said to the American Legion, quote, "We are not heroes. The 1,177 who went down with the ship are the heroes. You have to remember, we got to go home. We got to get married. We got to have children and grandchildren. And we've lived good lives. Those who didn't get to do that should be called heroes," unquote. Lou's sentiment was undoubtedly influenced by his own humility, for he did serve heroically throughout his 26-year Navy career. But his larger point must also be remembered because of the sacrifices made by young men we are able to raise families, continue careers, and live good lives because of the sacrifices made by young men and young women who never got to come home. We must always remember them. May each of them rest in peace. Thank you for being here. God bless America, and God bless each of you.
Thank you, Mayor Collins. And now, it's my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, who is a longtime resident of Miamisburg. Moving here with his family in 1959, he is the son of Dr. Russell Zanowick, who practiced medicine in Miamisburg for 45 years, retiring in 1996. Paul has been actively involved in our community over the years through scouting programs, CYO, and high school track coaching substitute, teaching and many other local activities over the years. Paul and his wife Nan are also the proud parents of the United States Marine that made the ultimate sacrifice. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. and Mrs. Paul Zanowick.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very, very much. And I'm going to go off script for a second and say thank you so much to Mayor Collins, to the American Legion Post 161, to the city of Miamisburg, the Miamisburg High School, the city of Miamisburg, and the community at large for everything that they've done to support us and what we try to do to honor our son. So I want to thank you so very, very much. I'd like to start out by saying there are 75 names on those stones over there honoring men and women that gave their lives for our country. All of those names have stories. Ronald Reagan once said, "Some people spend an entire lifetime wondering if they made a difference in the world. Marines don't have that problem." It is vital that we take time to remember to celebrate all who served under the flag of our great country. On this day and all days, we must honor those who made the ultimate sacrifice in service to our great country, those who answered the call to fight for the freedoms that we hold dear. Every soldier, sailor, airman and Marine, and Coast Guardsman who donned the uniform wrote on a check that said, "I will make any sacrifice up to and including my life in service of my country." All gave some gave all. Marine Corporal Paul W. Zanowick II made the ultimate sacrifice on June 3rd, 2011. Earlier in that day, Rocky led his team on a successful mission into a Taliban firefight to extract a wounded Marine and to get him to safety. Rocky's team was tasked with a second mission that day. It was on that mission that Rocky lost his life. His sister lost her brother. And we lost our son. Again, my name is Paul Zanowick. This is my wife, Nanette. Our daughter, Nicole, she was going to be here, but she couldn't be here with us today. We actually had a Marine who was with our son when he was killed here with us this weekend, and he had to be at the airport, and he should be there right about now, and she took him, so she couldn't be here with us. But I'd like to tell you about our son, Marine Corporal Rocky Zanowick. From the moment 9-pound Rocky left the room and came to meet us, he was bubbling with life. He was animated like a living cartoon, and he embraced us and the world with his boundless energy. He amused us with his antics, and he disarmed us with his smile. And he used that smile like a weapon. and sometimes he was a bit cantankerous, which seemed only to add to his charm. Rocky was one of those children who was constantly on the move, looking for action. He was a very bright child, but don't we all say that, right? However, sometimes he was too bright for his own good. On the playground, you could rest assured that he and one or two other boys would be putting a game together. Whether it was soccer, football, basketball, it didn't really matter, but there would be a game. And the interesting thing was that it would include so many of the kids, even those that didn't really appear sports-minded. He'd even include the girls. There was no sitting on the sidelines when Rocky was involved. He loved life, and he loved his life, and it was very infectious with what he brought to all of us, and it made us all better for it. At about 6 years old, he joined the Cub Scouts, and he began a journey that took him to Eagle Scout. Along that path, he honed his skills, becoming a leader of the Boy Scouts in our council. In fact, our whole family became highly involved in scouting. Our family worked hard and we played hard. We worked hard and played hard. We created so many awesome, wonderful memories and went on so many wonderful adventures during that time. We'll cherish those forever. Scouting experience growing up helped him to develop many of the leadership skills and characteristics that became a central part of who he was. Rocky was a 4-year letterman in track and cross country at the Miamisburg High School. He was not a star athlete, but he always gave 110%. And Rocky's unwavering work ethic and optimism inspired and uplifted his teammates. Rocky led by example. However, he never liked getting attention for this leadership. He seemed uncomfortable of being recognized for his accomplishments. He was a team guy, and while focusing on the positives, he gave his teammates credits for their accomplishments. It was during this time that we realized who our son was. He was a leader and a protector. No one was allowed to feel like a failure around Rocky. We lived this all up. On September 11th, 2001 was a pivotal moment in all of our lives. 13-year-old Rocky was, as we all were, affected deeply by the attacks that day. We were all shaken to our core, angry, afraid. We had many long discussions that centered around Rocky's deep concern about our country's vulnerabilities. I remember our family talking about not ever letting our enemies fight us here on our soil, that we needed to fight our fight on their soil. I'm convinced that this was the impetus for what Rocky would become. Someone who would wake up every day knowing he was making a difference. None of us would have ever guessed what Rocky's destiny would ultimately become. As Rocky continued in sports, scouting, venturing, and school for the next 5 years, his self-appointed role as a helper and a protector grew. When someone new moved into town or to school, Rocky would welcome them. When someone was down, he lifted them up. If they were hurt, he comforted them. If they were afraid, he would be strong for them. And often he did all those things wearing that smile. Rocky graduated from high school on June 3rd, 2006. Not long afterwards, he informed us of his intention to enlist in the armed forces. Nanette and I were very proud and very scared. We encouraged him to go to college, maybe go to officers training school, but Rocky told us that he wanted to go in and serve as one of the men that he would be leading. He wanted to be on the battlefield, he wanted to protect our country and his brothers in arms. He wanted to lead from the front. Rocky left home January 21st, 2008 to go to Paris Island. That April, Nanette, his sister Nicole, and I attended graduation from boot camp. On the parade field afterwards, Rocky's drill instructor told us that Rocky was a model Marine and a natural leader who was able to motivate and inspire others. In fact, the DI said, a few of his fellow Marines would not have graduated were it not for Rocky. We were not surprised. We'd seen that potential long before. After graduating from the School of Infantry in North Carolina, Rocky got orders to his duty station at 29 Palms, California. Rocky quickly became recognized for his leadership skills and got promoted ahead of peers who he would end up leading. Many of his peers and a number of his officers have shared with us that Rocky was a Marine's Marine, that he was a model by which that many were trying to emulate. Rocky was a corporal, and he was on his way to making sergeant when they left for Afghanistan on his second deployment. We were told on that deployment that Rocky worked his boys hard, and he wanted to get them battle ready. And that usually was followed, though, by intense play. It was no surprise to hear that between the missions, Rocky's place in Afghanistan, in a hole in the ground, was where you would find them all. On June 3rd, 2011, Rocky's fire team was chosen to lead a mission to extract a Marine named Daniel who was shot in a firefight. He was chosen because his fire team had been training hard, and Rocky's navigation skills would be needed to get where they needed to be to extract the Marine and get him onto the hospital. Rocky's lieutenant told us that mission under fire was flawless and that Rocky was very proud of his boys in saving the Marine. And he told us that these missions never went that well. He also said that he was very proud of Rocky. A day in the life, right? But there's always a what's next when you're wearing the uniform, isn't there? Later that day, Rocky was asked to take a few officers back to the location where they had been earlier in the day. And they were to do what was called a battle damage assessment. Never good to go back into the same place where you were earlier in the day. Rocky, though, utilized his skills to get his vehicles through this IED-filled wadi to get them back where they needed to be and to get the truck set up. One of the vehicles became stuck, which was a common occurrence there in Afghanistan. It became necessary for someone to exit the vehicle to resolve the issue. You can guess who Rocky chose. Once Rocky became exposed outside the armored vehicles, and he was in the open, he was shot by a sniper. Another firefight ensued. Fortunately, we suffered no other casualties. Our son was killed instantly. He did not suffer. Rocky's second in command was in the truck that Paul was standing in front of trying to look up. And he told us he was the last person actually to see our son alive. He told us that Rocky was looking up, smiling at him before he was shot. Our son Rocky was 23 years old. Rocky was a Marine. He died protecting his flag and his brothers, knowing he had made a difference. You've heard this, but all gave some gave all. Rocky's story belongs to all of us. It is the story of families who sent their sons, daughters, and loved ones off to war and lost them. It is a story of heroes who died for something they believed in, something bigger than themselves. It's a story of the anguish that follows the loss. It's the stories of memories we cherish. And while we'll always lament the terrible losses, will always remember to be proud of who they were and how and why they served. We can never take what we have for granted. We live in the greatest country known to mankind because men and women have fought, died, bled and died for our country and everything that we have. We can never forget these heroes. We need to tell their stories. And we will also remember to thank all of our veterans for their service, the sacrifices they made, and their willingness to make the ultimate sacrifice. We do these things because we know, and we truly know, freedom, it's never free. May God bless Corporal Paul Rocky Zanoff II. May God bless all of you, and may God bless these United States of America.
Thank you. Now let's go to the brighter side and have the band, if they will, play a melody of military songs. When you hear your branch song, please feel free to stand while it is playing. United States Marine Corps. comrades who paid the supreme sacrifice. Our SAL Commander Ernie Pyle will now read the names. Mexican War, George L. Hoover. Civil War, Leverett Aldrich, Abraham Allen, James Allen, Perry V. Benston, William H. Beaver, Nelson Coleman, George Grove, Albert Mason, Jacob Miller, George Emery Peck, Zebulon Sheretz, Henry Shoup, Martin Stanley, George A. Tapley. Philippine-American War, Frank Moyer, William Schreiber. World War I, Alonzo Ballinger, Emmett Boldman, John N. Catro, Thomas A. Eagle, Edwin E. Folk, Dean F. Fry, Everett Gillespie, Albert Henry, Henry Hughes, Orville Johnson, Clarence E. Jones, Benjamin C. Carper, Malcolm Klein. World War II, Louis Baker, Lyman Barkalow, James Buzzard, Lee Carroll, Woodrow Dixon, Vincent DiMatteo, Richard Dixon, Kenneth Donahue, Cyril F. Eister, Carl Gray, Ralph Harris, George Hartzell, Lawrence Hyatt, William Horn, Keith Hudson, Charles Jacobs, Earl W. Johnson, Robert Long, Gerald Myers, Elmer Michael, Clarence Moyer, Charles Neetham, Roger Oler, Clarence Pauley, Victor Pfeiffer, Nelson Pratt, Robert Presley, Douglas E. Riker, Roy E. Reed, Harold Robinette, Norbert Schmidt, Donald Shue, Richard Schoenberger, Nelson T. Simpson, Walter F. Smith, Max Southard, Richard A. Stolder, Charles L. Taylor, Vern Thomas, Douglas C. Weaver, Orville Widener, Charles Weller, James T. Wilson, William Wolfe. Korean conflict, James Barton, Billy DeBoer, Richard McGraw, Jesse Widener. Vietnam, Tom Combs, Mark V. Dennis, William R. Ebright, Jack Fusion, Bert Guerra III, Donald E. Harp, Gary Lee McKinney, William R. Truitt, James E. Walsh. Global War on Terror, Paul Zanawick II, excuse me.
We will now ask our Auxiliary President, Mary Johnson, to please place the wreath. The flowers may wither, but the spirit of which they are a symbol will endure until the end of time. It is now time for us to do the post-everlasting ceremony. We will now conduct a post-everlasting ceremony for all of our comrades who have left us since our last Memorial Day service. This moment is sacred with the almost visible presence of the ones who have gone before. We come to honor the memory of those who offer his or hers in the service of country and who has now enrolled in the Great Spirit Army, whose footfalls cause no sound, but in the memory of mankind, their souls goes marching on, sustained by the pride of service in time of war. Because of them, our lives are free. Because of them, our nation lives. Because of them, the world is blessed. May this service deepen our reverence for our departed comrades. Commander Adjutant, place an American Legion cap on the flags in remembrance of our departed comrades' service to our country in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, or Coast Guard of the United States. Our comrade chaplain will now offer a prayer.
O God of all yesterdays, our todays, and our tomorrows, we pause together in the quietness of remembrance to linger in thought over our commanders whose names has rung out in hearing as one who has transferred from our ranks to post everlasting. It was once before us we laughed with them, and they labored and they lived out a portion of our lives in a common cause. They contributed some fashion, large or small, to what we were in the midst of our lives. We have not been untouched by what they have done. In such a moment as this, we are keenly aware of your own everlasting presence, and as our only remembering link with our former comrades, we salute you and commend to you with trust and expectation. Whatever battle stars or ribbons they may have deservedly won, perhaps unknown to us, on the battlefields of life, you will award them as they stand before you, as they are beloved and eager to join the ranks in front of their captain. Amen.
Comrade Adjutant, read the names of the departed comrades.
Donald Pierce, Douglas Stam, Gary McLean, Randall Staley, John Gable, Gary Johnson, Charles Miller, John T. Buckley, William Zecker, Robert Voorhees, John Rarick, Robert McDaniel, Thomas Silverman, Philip Savage.
Comrade Adjutant, hand me the letter containing the service and legend records of those which we will transmit to the post everlasting of the American Legion. Comrade Chaplain, transmit this letter containing the service and Legion records to our comrades of to the Adjutant of the post everlasting. Comrade Adjutant, remove the cap. This concludes our post-everlasting service. The Miamisburg High School Band will now play God Bless America. Commander of the Honor Guard, salute the dead. We will now have a closing benediction by our chaplain.
First and foremost, as chaplain, I want to thank everybody for making this a great turnout on this Memorial Day. Almighty God, our Heavenly Father, with reverence and love we pause to pay tribute to our honored and valiant departed heroes. Grant that we may ever be mindful of their service to God and country, and of our comradeship with them in the ranks of the American Legion. Hallow their graves, give courage and comfort to those who have suffered the loss of a loved one. Watch over the graves of our comrades, the men and women, heroes, granting eternal rest to their bodies and peace and happiness to their souls. Keep them until the hour of final reveille, that they, when they are called before the divine commander, may all of these comrades be present and accounted for. May their souls and the souls of all departed veterans ever rest in peace. Amen.
Once again, we would like to thank our vocalist and bugler, Alberta Duncan, and bagpipe major Kevin Brown for performing today. Also to the Miamisburg High School band, thank you very much for participating today in our service. We hope all of you will stay in the park for hot dogs, popcorn, and ice cream, and enjoy the music of the Miamisburg Alumni Band, who will be playing for your enjoyment. Plus, the Historical Society building will be open for your enjoyment and viewing of all the new banners. Once again, on this windy, unknowing day whether we were going to have good weather or not, and as you can see, we were blessed. Thank you for coming to our service. This does conclude our service, and thank you very much. Have an enjoyable Memorial Day.